Our series begins with two people, and they're clinging to each other, or more precisely, his stomach is pressed against our heroine from behind. Yeah, he's doing that to her, like a hungry leopard, and he's blackmailing her. If she doesn't tell him the secret, he'll let her fall on her face. Whether she gets a concussion or breaks her teeth, he doesn't care. We flash back to exactly 6 years ago. He was dancing and jumping around with his friend, but suddenly, without intending to, he hits him in the eye with a stick. That beautiful night turns into the worst night of CJ's life. He's rushed to the hospital, and unfortunately, he loses his sight. The only solution is a corneal transplant, which is obviously very difficult. But the operation actually happens. Time passes, many years, and we see CJ again, now a famous idol. Girls are literally dying to see him. He says he's the luckiest person in the world. God blessed him with charming eyes that sparkle like stars in the sky. He's happy because, from that moment on, he became the most famous star in all of Korea. He sings beautifully, and his performances make him truly happy, especially the way the crowd, mostly girls, interacts with him. After finishing his concert, the CEO of his sponsoring company, President Joe, congratulates him and tells him that a famous producer wants to sign a deal with him. She's one of the most renowned producers in Korea. And to celebrate this occasion, instead of praying 2 units of gratitude to God, they go and drink a couple of glasses. But suddenly, he feels like the world is spinning. He starts having visions of a rainy day and hears a particular piece of music. He dreams of a little girl jumping around happily with butterflies all around her. The next day, he wakes up at exactly 5:45 a.m. A new morning begins, full of energy and vibes. He talks to himself while his manager is waiting outside. Suddenly, he realizes what happened due to the alcohol. Instead of acting classy, he jumped around, pushed the company's CEO, and turned him into a laughingstock in front of everyone. He screams at the top of his lungs and rushes out to go to the company. On the way, we see a beautiful girl heading to the same company. Her name is Bomb, but in the crowd, she gets pushed and falls to the ground. And her music-playing necklace drops. It plays the exact tune that CJ keeps hearing in his visions. He wants to find out where it's coming from, but he can't. Bomb enters the company and meets the HR manager, Shaina, who turns out to be President Joe's daughter. We discover that Bomb is a songwriter who came specifically to sell her songs to the company. But she's shocked when the HR tells her they'll buy the songs, but remove her name from them. At that moment, an employee interrupts them and tells Sheena her father wants to see her. Meanwhile, CJ and his manager are pressed up against the office window, trying to eavesdrop to fix the disastrous situation CJ caused earlier. Bomb leaves the company because she completely disagrees with Sheena's terms. Then Sheena comes out herself and advises CJ to disappear from the public eye for a while. We learn that CJ hasn't been attending university at all. She tells him, "Hey, why don't you just go to college? It's a good place. Go study and enjoy a normal student life. Try it, man. Because right now, your problem isn't the CEO. It's the public." Now we go to Bomb's house, where she lives with her aunt and cousin. More like they live off her. The aunt jumps around complaining, saying, "I already took a loan once for our sake, and I can't take another." Then she slaps her daughter, Si Hao, for messing up her manicure. By the way, Si Hao is a huge fan of CJ and dreams of seeing him by chance. They all try to get close to Bomb again. At the same time, Si Hao sees the news that CJ apologized and announced he's returning to college and taking a break from singing with his band. She's shocked. Now we see CJ on his first day of college, practicing how to enter the campus dramatically, thinking the wind will blow romantically as he walks. But he's hit by the harsh reality. Yes, the wind does blow, but in the form of a storm. It's raining heavily, flooding everything, and not even a single mosquito cares about him. At the same time, Bomb is standing in the same spot on the other side, remembering the old legend that says, If two people meet at the fence during the rain, they'll be destined for each other forever. She says, "What do I have to lose?" and runs, hoping to meet someone. Her necklace falls again and starts playing the same tune. This time, CJ hears it and follows the sound to find out where it's coming from. He sees Bum standing there. He approaches her while she's confused and scared, wondering why he's looking at her like that. Suddenly, he grabs her hand and asks, "Is this your song?" Just then, her friend Sim shows up, takes her away, and before she walks off, she turns to CJ and asks, "So you do know this is my song?" But he doesn't get the chance to answer because she leaves with Sim. The next day, he wakes up at exactly 5:45 again. He's confused. Since the surgery 6 years ago, he always wakes up at this exact time. Meanwhile, Bum is standing with Sim in the morning when her cousin Sihao shows up and says sarcastically, "Don't think I'm interested in you. Enough chasing. I've got bigger dreams than you." She leaves dramatically. Sim says, "What's up with this crazy girl? Where does she even get these ridiculous ideas from?" He advises Bum to get her mentally evaluated. Now Sihao goes to greet CJ at the university, along with a crowd of fangirls. Finally, someone in this university acknowledges his presence. He wants to ask about Bum, but they interrupt him and beg him to sing. After humming a little, someone scolds him for singing on campus, and Sihao ends up escorting him to his department. She tries to remind him that she was the girl screaming, "I love you," at his last concert. He sweet-talks her a bit, and she nearly faints from excitement. Later, she tells the theater group that CJ is now on campus, but nobody pays attention to him. It's like he's just a staircase mop. Acting class begins, and the first to raise his hand for the role is none other than cursed luck CJ. He embarrasses himself, and everyone laughs at him. To win people over, he invites everyone to lunch at the cafeteria on his tab. After lunch, CJ goes to the university president and tries to win him over, basically polishing his image. The same students who mocked him earlier now come asking for financial help because the theater group is in trouble and can't afford camping expenses. It's actually a big deal. CJ helps them out and suddenly becomes their cool guy, their hero, their go-to star. On the other side, President Joe is clearly angry about what happened with CJ. It's clear that something bigger is going on than just being drunk. His daughter keeps asking him what's wrong, but he refuses to answer. He makes a phone call and asks the person on the other end to dig into someone's background, but we still don't know who he's talking about. Meanwhile, CJ keeps searching for Bum everywhere until he finds out where she works. Not really a job, but she likes to play piano at a certain restaurant. When she sees him, she tries to avoid him, but he blocks her path, staring into her eyes. He starts chasing her, desperate to learn about the melody that keeps haunting him, the tune from her necklace. He physically stops her, trying to get her to talk, but Sim shows up and throws him to the side. CJ falls flat on the floor, but he doesn't give up. He keeps chasing Bum until he finds her again in the music room. He tells the group he wants to join their team. Bum is stunned. How could a famous idol like him want to join their underground group? He sits among all the students, giving them a chance to show off their playing skills. Bum nearly faints from nerves, but he catches her and looks into her eyes. He says, "If I win, you have to tell me the story behind that melody." Bum is speechless. He walks away, thinking, "What is this? Why does my heart race every time I see her?" Then comes the music challenge between CJ and Sim. As agreed, Sim dedicates his performance to Bum. This annoys CJ. He doesn't even know why it bothers him so much. They enter a fierce showdown. From a distance, Sheena watches. Sim's skills clearly surpass CJ's, and CJ gets frustrated and quits halfway, declaring Sim the winner. Meanwhile, President Joe secretly sends someone to photograph Bum. He's shocked when he finds out that Bum and CJ have met and are developing a relationship. He gets visibly upset, but it's not yet clear why. We find out that CJ lost the music challenge on purpose, just so Bomb would open up and tell him the story behind the melody. He follows her to the restaurant again, watching her while she plays the piano. He's lost in her beauty. After she finishes, he chases after her again, but this time she snaps at him. She says, "Stay away from me, you're starting to scare me." Later that night, CJ falls asleep. Remembering his heated argument with President Joe, it's clear the president was accusing him of something we, the audience, still don't fully know. He wakes up to find President Joe in his house. Just as he gets excited to see him, the president hits him with, "You have two options, either enlist in the military or leave the country." CJ protests, saying, "I haven't forgotten what happened 6 years ago." President Joe explodes, "So you do remember everything." CJ tries to explain what he means, but the president won't hear a word. He storms off, warning him, "If you don't listen to me, don't blame anyone but yourself." Then the threats begin. President Joe sends 2 guys to harass CJ. No matter how he avoids them, they provoke him and make it look like he attacked them. They even record it on video and file a lawsuit against him. To escape the scandal, CJ publicly announces he's quitting his band entirely. He moves out and rents a new apartment. When he arrives, he feels strange. This place looks familiar, like I've lived here before. The next morning, when he inspects the apartment in daylight, he finds Bomb's aunt promoting the apartment for rent. He sees Bomb and accuses her of scamming him. "You said it wasn't a rooftop apartment." With zero shame, she replies, "What do you want me to do? I had to find a tenant somehow." CJ, still in disguise, reveals his identity to Bomb. She stands there frozen, completely shocked. We flash back to the moment Bomb saw CJ at the university when he asked her about the melody. It turns out she had actually left Sim halfway through and returned to look at CJ. She tells us, "He's not just a famous idol, he's the love of my life." She's pulled out of her thoughts when Hao also arrives and is shocked to see CJ there. She can't believe her eyes. "Wait, is he here to propose to me, or am I still dreaming?" From sheer joy, she faints. She later wakes up on the couch and tries to convince her mother, Bomb's aunt, to let CJ stay in their apartment. "Maybe the spirits will be kind, and he'll actually propose for real," she says. The aunt, on the other hand, tries to tempt Bomb. "If a celebrity idol lives here, the apartment's value will skyrocket." Hao says, "If he proposes, I'll say yes." So they allow him to live with them, but under certain conditions, rules set by the aunt. Rule number 1, he's not allowed to get close to either of her daughters. Hao grabs her and says, "Oh, come on, just let him get close already." They're all shocked when CJ offers them $5 million. He's happy to see them happy and celebrates their excitement. When he enters the room, he finds a photo of Bomb as a child and says, "That smile, it's the same one." He notices the same white piano from the restaurant and realizes, wait, this piano is theirs. So he goes to Bomb and sits beside her. She says, "What are you doing here? Did you cross the border or something?" He replies, "Cross the border? Did I leave Libya or something? I was just looking at the moon." And this brings us back to the opening scene, when he grabs her from behind and blackmails her to tell him the story of the melody, or else he'll let her fall on her face. Finally, she asks him, "What do you want? Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" He explains, "I feel like we've met in another time. This song never leaves my dreams." He tells her about the dreams, the white piano, and the little girl. The next morning, again at 5:45 a.m., he wakes up and realizes, the little girl in my dreams is Bomb. He says, "Well, I guess I don't need to ask her anything." Bomb forgets that there's a tenant now in her house and goes to the bathroom. CJ runs into her and completely freezes. She panics when she sees him too. He immediately leaves the house, and on the way, Sim sees him and says, "What the heck is this guy doing here?" Later, CJ heads to the university. Full of energy, bouncing as he walks, he invites everyone to join his music team and starts holding auditions. His one condition: they must be ambitious people. Unfortunately, all of them turn out to be total flops. Then, CJ sees the two guys who falsely accused him and caused all his problems. One of them has a supposedly broken leg, but is clearly walking just fine. Suddenly, they run off. What follows is a wild left-right-left chase, like Tom and Jerry. Eventually, CJ corners both of them, and they panic, assuming he'll beat them up again. They call Joe's assistant to report that CJ is at the university. The assistant, upon seeing a photo of CJ and Bomb together, rushes to break them apart immediately. It's clear now that something big is going on, something even CJ himself doesn't know. At the same time, university students start protesting, saying they want CJ to leave school and disband his group because he's arrogant and has harmed too many people. Bomb sees this and feels really bad, especially when the university directors try to convince CJ to quit school or even leave the country. Bomb confronts President Joe to ask why he's doing all this, but she acts like she doesn't know him. However, it's very clear he knows her well. When she realizes there's no use talking to him, she decides to take matters into her own hands. She puts on a bear costume, sings in front of the students, and asks CJ to join her on the piano. The crowd loves the performance and the energy. They completely change their opinion and agree to form a group with CJ. From a distance, Sim is watching, full of jealousy and frustration. Bomb then offers to be CJ's manager from now on, and they start experiencing the excitement of new beginnings. The university starts looking more like a Tamer Hosni concert, with non-stop singing, dancing, and parties. Honestly, may we all get a university experience like that. Now, the two guys that President Joe sent, who were trying to sabotage CJ, go to Sim and try to provoke him into sabotaging CJ's team too. CJ's team has only 1 minute left to complete the sign-up and is missing just one last member. Suddenly, the men in black arrive to completely ruin everything. But out of nowhere, Sim shows up, and just before the minute ends, he writes his name to officially join CJ's team. The two thugs are shocked. Sim approaches them and says, "I'm not a traitor, and traitors don't belong with us." We flash back to a secret conversation where the two thugs talk about how they had agreed to harm CJ in exchange for 1 million won. CJ calls them out in front of all the students and exposes them completely. After Sim announces his membership in the team, CJ reaches out to shake his hand, fully forgiving and respectful, but Sim leaves him hanging and walks away like he's air. CJ just looks confused and says, "Wait, is he purified or something? Why did he just float past me?" The university president shows up and is thrilled to see that 300 students have joined CJ's team. Again, everyone goes to celebrate. CJ now acts like the grill master, pretending he's the chief of all liver and brain kebabs, proudly showcasing his meat grilling skills as if he's doing magic tricks. Sim, annoyed, says, "God, give strength to the beast within me not to grill this guy over hot coals." Eventually, all the food gets burned, because of course, you can't rely on CJ for that. But Bomb steps in and says, "Wait, there are still a few good pieces." And like hungry hyenas, they all rush to grab the decent bits. Then comes the funny part. CJ eats Bomb's food, and Hao gets jealous, wanting CJ's attention too. She throws his face into a bowl in front of everyone, turning him into the joke of the night. But honestly, the atmosphere is very cheerful, and CJ laughs it off with a big heart. Me? If I were him, I would have thrown her on the asphalt, but he's way more chill. After the chaos, they all clean up the place like responsible adults, making it even cleaner than it was before. While they're wrapping up, CJ gets a phone call from his former manager, who tells him, "Bomb came to the company, and President Joe didn't support her. He didn't even try to help her." CJ is stunned. He starts to question. What's going on? Why is President Joe suddenly turning on me like this? Still, he chooses to stay positive and tells himself, Bomb cares about me, that's what matters. From a distance, someone is watching them. Jae notices and tries to follow the mysterious figure, but he loses track. Meanwhile, Sim goes home, and his famous surgeon father slaps him across the face. Don't think I don't know what you're doing. You're skipping classes to chase CJ, who's become a scandal everywhere, and all of it for that orphan girl, Bomb? The father breaks Sim's favorite jar, and Sim storms out of the house. He yells in the street, Finally, I'm free. Cut to Bomb's house. Sim shows up again, apparently using her place as a refuge. Of course, Bomb's aunt agrees to let him stay. Why not? Free rent money, no effort. Even Bomb is happy. She gets to collect rent from both CJ and Sim now. Sim and CJ end up sharing a room. They start betting over who's going to pay the rent, each saying, I'll pay the gas bill. No, I'll pay the electric. Meanwhile, President Joe is having a nightmare. He dreams of the accident from years ago. He wakes up, same time as always, 5:45 a.m., just like CJ. A few hours later, CJ, Bomb, and the rest of the group head to inspect a new studio, but it's a total mess. Bomb says it used to be her private space, kind of like an art room, and they want to renovate it to become their new group base. Everyone leaves, except CJ and Bomb. Together, they start cleaning, scrubbing, fixing, organizing. It's exhausting. But amid the chaos, there's a romantic moment. Bomb almost falls, and CJ catches her. They stare into each other's eyes. It's clear now, CJ has remembered something. And from where I stand, I think Bomb is hiding something very big from us. Later, Bomb goes to her restaurant job, only to find that the manager has sold the piano. She's devastated. You knew I only came here to play that piano. I didn't even want money. When she returns home, she's shocked to find out that CJ bought the piano himself, after realizing it used to belong to her mother when he saw it in the photo of Bomb as a child. While they're talking, CJ suddenly senses something. Someone's watching him. He rushes out and manages to catch a glimpse. It's President Joe's assistant. CJ has had enough. He storms to Joe and demands, Why are you doing this to me? Why have you changed? Why are you turning on me? Joe and CJ start drinking together, agreeing that the loser of their drinking game will have to obey the other's command. CJ, being the fool he is, loses the bet, but even then Joe doesn't give him a clear answer. He won't say why he's acting this way. CJ leaves, frustrated, apologizing. I guess I'm not even worth your enmity. Joe sits alone, confused, mumbling to himself. Does he really remember, or is he faking? Is he just messing with me? Meanwhile, CJ walks alone, overwhelmed by sudden flashes of memories. He doesn't understand what they mean, or why they're coming to him. Later that night, Bomb sees him returning home, and she's clearly worried. Suddenly, CJ calls her by her childhood nickname, a name only her mother knew. She's stunned. From a distance, Sim watches them, furious. He rushes over to break them apart. As he grabs CJ, they both fall. Sim says, Stop faking it, man. Why are you acting like you passed out? Your hand's grabbing mine just fine. Bomb stands there, tears welling in her eyes. Sim drags CJ to their room, throws him to the ground, and slaps him hard. But for CJ, it's like swatting a fly. He doesn't care at all. Bomb is in her room, standing in front of her mirror, thinking about what happened and how he knew her nickname, something no living soul really knew except her died mother. The next day, CJ wakes up and tells Sim, Didn't I tell you to treat your snoring? Come on, a big guy like you with a surgeon dad, and you can't treat your respiratory problems. Sim stands, not believing the nonsense in front of him, and says, Are you a normal human being? You wrecked everything yesterday. May God deal with you. Then they all sit down for breakfast, and as if he did nothing, He even advises the aunt to cook the beans a certain way, because what she made turned out to be lentils, nothing more. After breakfast, Sim comes and accuses him. You remember everything, and you're just pretending. When CJ tries to escape, Sim runs after him. But at that moment, CJ confronts him. I know you love Bomb, but love isn't like that. You should let her choose for herself. And if you had just a bit of that red stuff, meaning heart, you'd notice how attracted she is to me. I'm a famous star after all, and my reputation is heard. A while later, they're getting ready to go to university. Sim leaves alone. Sehao asks about him. He replies sarcastically, Do you think I care? Why would I know where he is? Is he my nephew? Sehao breaks down and accuses Sim and Bomb of having stone hearts for not worrying about CJ, but in a second, she drops the act immediately. Meanwhile, CJ manages to reach Joe's assistant and asks him why he's doing this. He's also surprised when the assistant says, Everything that's happening is for Bomb's benefit. You must stay away from her. CJ heads to university and tries to sneak in quietly. In the lecture, the professor asks that no one sits alone. So CJ immediately sits next to Bomb and jokes around. The professor is very pleased with his charm and handsomeness. Bomb quickly leaves to avoid him, but he runs after her. She tells him she's going to the bathroom and points at it, saying he can come if he wants. Just as he's about to ask her what happened, his phone rings. He answers it, turns around, and doesn't find her. She had run away, too shy to talk to him about what happened. We now see Sim's father, the famous surgeon, visiting President Joe. This is where things start becoming very clear. Sim's father begins to talk about the night of the accident, and we flash back to that terrible day from years ago. We see Joe driving distractedly, completely unfocused, and suddenly he hits a woman crossing the road. He jumps out to check on her. She's still alive, barely, and begs him for help. But here's the shocking twist. Sim's father was in the car with him the entire time. They both snap out of the memory. Sim's father warns Joe. There was a witness that day. If Bomb ever finds out the details, we're finished. She'll expose us. When Joe asks who the witness is, the revelation hits hard. It's CJ. Meanwhile, CJ is full of hope. He gathers his friends and tells them, Let's go. We're going to be the stars of the university's opening concert. Everyone's celebrating and pumped up. But Sim is sulking in the corner, frowning. He confronts CJ, but CJ reminds him, Hey, I let you win during the piano battle. Your guitar string was broken. Remember, don't think you're better than me. I'm the real star here. Boom, they start wrestling on the floor. A full-on brawl breaks out. Bomb screams, stopping the fight. Is this who we are? We're supposed to be one team. They pause for a moment, and then go right back to fighting. Meanwhile, Joe drops a bomb on Sim's father. Did you know your son Sim is living with Bomb? He's stunned. This time, I'll handle it myself. At Bomb's house, they're all preparing for the next day's trip. This trip is for camping practice, so the group can get ready for the big global music concert. Everyone is surprised when CJ brings Sheena, who arrives in a luxury car, fancy and top tier. Sehao is over the moon, screaming with excitement. Finally, I'm traveling in something clean and classy. They don't take everyone with them. Some stay behind. CJ is the one driving. When he sees Sim drinking something in the rearview mirror, he hits the brakes hard, almost like he's trying to spill the drink all over him. Sheena quickly notices that CJ is hyper-focused on both Bomb and Sim, especially Bomb. He even slows down the car when she's drinking. Bomb asks, confused, Is something wrong with the car? He replies, No, it's just, you're drinking. How can I drive fast? What a gentleman. They finally arrive. Bomb finds a quiet spot to relax. CJ joins her, lost in her beauty and cuteness, but Sim sees him from a distance. Just as he's about to sit next to her, Sim pulls the chair out from under him, making CJ crash to the ground. A few moments later, as usual, Sim and CJ start fighting again. Bomb steps in to stop them, but she falls into the sea. Both of them jump in after her. As Bomb sinks and starts to lose consciousness, CJ is the first to grab her hand. But of course, Sim won't have it. In the middle of this chaos, he pushes forward, clawing through the water, and pulls Bomb away from CJ, carrying her to safety like a hero. CJ tries to prove he's the number one, but fate doesn't allow it. Just as he moves towards Sim, he trips, hits a rock, and starts seeing the same flashbacks from the night of the accident. Memories he still can't fully understand. Another student arrives and finds CJ unconscious on the ground. A little later, Bomb is sitting, wrapped in a towel around her hair, looking like a fish market vendor, honestly. She's seriously thinking about quitting the team, frustrated by the constant drama between CJ and Sim. But the rest of the team hears her and quickly protests. No, we're friends. We're cool and awesome. There's no one like us. And boom, just like that, the two enemies suddenly turn into best friends, laughing and joking like nothing happened. At the same time, Sheena sneaks into Bomb's song notebook, noticing a new song that Bomb hasn't shown her. She becomes suspicious and tries to memorize it quickly to steal it. Bomb walks toward the caravan where they're staying, while Sheena hides the notebook just in time. Back at Bomb's house, her crazy aunt is trying to spy on Sim and CJ, trying to confirm if they're rich and loaded. Her spying is interrupted when Sim's father shows up, the famous surgeon. She freezes. What? Even you want to rent this ragged apartment too? He says, "Shut it, lady. I'm not here to rent your dump." He sits down with her and says he wants to find Bomb at any cost. He wants her to stay away from his son, delivering a sweet little guilt trip disguised as concern. The next day, he meets Bomb after she gives him her number and answers his call. He starts politely, talking about his son, how he raised him alone after the mother passed away, how much effort he put into making Sim a future surgeon. But suddenly, his tone changes. He threatens her. "You must leave my son. He's rich. He's got a future. You're just some street-level performer in an unknown group." Shaken, Bomb goes home and confronts Sim. "I want you to leave my house." When he refuses, she says, "If I had someone who cared about me the way you do, after my mom, I would have listened to them too." She adds firmly, "Think about your future. If I were you, I'd never throw it away like this. I'm never going to be something big like you imagine." She ends it with a cold, heavy line. "I don't want to see you here ever again." Then she turns and walks away. When she enters the house, he asks her about Sim. At that moment, Bomb explodes, pouring out all her anger onto him. "Finally, you can rest easy." She blames him completely. She tells him, "You could have treated him with kindness. You didn't have to keep fighting like cats and dogs." Then she adds with bitterness, "Congrats, the room is all yours now." She walks away, leaving him behind, and locks herself in her room. Sim, meanwhile, goes to his father, agreeing to follow in his footsteps and become a surgeon, but only on one condition. "Stay away from Bomb. I'll do what you say." But deep down, Sim doesn't even understand why his father is taking such a strong stand against Bomb. Just because she's poor? He asks him, "Are you ever going to tell me why you really hate her?" But the father refuses to say a word. Eventually, he forces Sim to join him in the operating room. Later, we see Sim collapsed on the floor, overwhelmed. He can't handle the sight of surgery. He starts sobbing, saying, "I never wanted to be a doctor, not even a surgeon. All my life, I've pretended just to please you." He picks up a sharp tool, ready to stab his own hand, to ruin his chances forever. But CJ arrives just in time, grabs his hand, and stops him. He says, "Don't you even know who your real enemy is? Are you that lost? Before you do anything reckless, ask yourself what the consequences will be." CJ throws the tool aside, then looks at Sim's father and says, "I hope you're proud of yourself. You met Bomb and thought you were doing the right thing, for your son's sake." The father stands there in silence, full of regret, realizing maybe he went too far, and it's now obvious. The secret about Bom's mother is what's tearing everything apart. Sim returns to the music team, and everyone begins getting ready, setting up decorations, shopping, organizing everything for their performances. Jae becomes like a porter for Bom, or more accurately, her personal assistant, carrying all her bags. Whether he's doing it out of love or guilt, we'll leave that to you. Later, Bom confronts CJ about the night he got drunk. She says, "You were acting the whole time. Why didn't you just apologize?" He replies, "Apologize? For what? I wasn't myself because of the alcohol. And you didn't exactly pull away, did you? You liked me." Suddenly, the lights go out. Bom nervously starts fixing her hair, pretending she isn't scared, but she clearly is. Still, she tries to act tough, like she's 3 men in 1. Jae sees right through her. He sits on the floor and gently asks her to sit beside him so she won't be scared. They start talking. He opens up. "I've always been alone. I think you have too." She nods. "It's true. I always thought my mom was my whole world. And then, all of a sudden, you showed up in my life too." CJ is stunned. He's speechless. She continues, smiling nervously. "I want you to be the first artist I ever produce a song for. So what do you think will happen next? If I were you, I'd definitely wait for next week's episode." The continuation of this story will be on Perfecto Drama channel. And please, don't forget to leave your guesses in the comments below. What's the full truth behind the accident everyone keeps referring to? What is CJ really remembering? What is Bom still hiding? So if you want to know the answers, drop your predictions now in the comments section.